We made it. The 50th episode of 2000% Raise. We made it. All right, listen, we're doing a little bit of a rebrand. All right, it's not starting on episode 50. It's going to be the next 50, not including this one. You're going to see a new intro, new outro, some new branding, because I got that confidence now, y'all. I got that confidence, everybody. Going to do a lot more live guest shows as well. So pretty pumped up about everything that's coming this way. On this 50th episode, I'm going to do two things. First thing I'm going to do is tell you about our upcoming event in Las Vegas, the 2000% Raise membership, which really was just a function from this podcast that came about from the 2000% Raise book. And really the movement, if you will, on social media. It has been incredible, guys. And I'm going to talk a lot about details of the October 12th and October 13th Las Vegas Mastermind VIP event that I'm having. You want to be at that thing. And then the second thing I'm going to talk about is reflecting on the first 25 episodes. I'm not going to spend a million years on each guest, but I'm going to give you some kind of highlights as I go through this list. I'm going to try to keep this episode under 30 minutes so you guys listen to the whole thing. We tend to start losing listeners around that 25 to 35 minute mark. So try to get it all in there. But let's start off with this Vegas event, guys. It's about the entrepreneurial journey, and you're invited to go. It's a VIP event. Go to 2000percentraise.com/events, and you can get all the details. If you can't afford the event, or if you're listening to this early enough, shoot me a DM on Instagram. I might have a promo code for you, but when it's sold out, it's sold out. This is a very exclusive thing. We're at the Palazzo. We're at the Trump Tower in Vegas. We got some big time speakers that I'm going to be announcing as we get a little bit closer, but here's what you could expect. When you arrive on Thursday, October 12th, we're doing small meet and greets, about 10 to 15 people at a time in the penthouse at the Palazzo. That is my penthouse that I'll be having for the week there. I'm going to have a couple special guests with me there that are high profile in nature, either entrepreneurs or celebrities, or hint, maybe a little bit of both. And plenty of FaceTime for every person that comes. There's everyone's VIP at this thing. We do have a diamond package that's kind of invite only for a few people. If you want to be a part of that, inquire. But for the most part, the event is everybody at that same level. Everybody's VIP. The meet and greets, the one-on-one time, really everybody. After we do the penthouse Thursday afternoon, we're then going to all meet up at 9 p.m. We have a lounge reserved for ourselves with a welcome reception, food and drink, open bar. It's going to be a good ass time where everyone gets to know each other. A lot of you probably already do know each other from the Chicago event, so that'll be pretty cool. On Friday, we are not doing a breakfast because I think there might be a little bit of fun Thursday night, but we got two really cool meeting spaces. One's like a lounge-like, bar-like setting combined with just a regular meeting space with projectors and tables. And they're kind of connected. And I chose this over the Trump Tower, which is immediately off the Vegas Strip. It's only a couple minutes from the Palazzo. Pretty freaking cool place. Once you see when you're there, you'll see why I picked it. It's pretty effing cool. And have some really good speakers coming in, some really good content. We are going to have a high-end luncheon at this, as well as the meetings, as well as the speakers, as well as the networking. And then we're finishing it up with a 2-hour cocktail reception and some more past hors d'oeuvres and shit like that. And it's going to be a good time, let's just say. All right. There's under 100 people that are going to be coming to this. Okay. Like I said, everybody's VIP. If I say so-and-so is going to be in the room, you will be having a chance to have a conversation with so-and-so. All right. Between the meet and greets in my penthouse to the welcome reception at the Venetian, to the luncheon and the cocktail reception and the networking breaks at the Trump Tower. Everyone's going to get to know each other. It's going to be effing awesome. I'm pumped up about it. I'm responsible for curating everybody. Gosh, dang it. This is going to come out a little bit too soon when this podcast is being released. So I don't want to give up too much information on who the speakers are, but trust me, I'm in charge of curating it. It's my fucking brand. I'm going to make sure it's a good fucking time for everybody. And the ticket price is only as expensive as it is because it's costing me a shitload of fucking money to do this. Now, when you go to the website and you see the ticket price at $2,000, two things that you need to realize. Number one, if you're a member, you should be a member, okay? The $2,000 price comes with a membership for a year, okay? If you don't want to pay the $2,000, you could go buy a membership, which is $50 a month. Then you'll get the member price, which is not $2,000. It's considerably less, okay? The members have their own promo code. I do have promo codes available still for non-members. But depending when you're listening to this podcast, they may or may not be effective still. If you're listening to this the day it came out, I would DM me immediately if you want one of those promo codes. Okay, because this thing is going to sell out. All right. Again, going to be an awesome freaking event. Okay. Now switching gears. My first 25 guests on this show, this is not the big woohoo anniversary episode. Okay. My rebrand is coming in a couple episodes, and I'm looking at that next 50 as the big celebration. We're changing some things up. It's going to be pretty freaking cool. So there's going to be episode 50 right now, which is part 1. And then we're going to do next week is episode 50, part 2. And then we're going to come out of the gates hot with episode 51, which is really episode 52. You follow me? I'm just trying to confuse everybody. Okay. Oh, by the way, if you're interested in sponsoring that Vegas event or sponsoring this podcast, hit me in the fucking DMs because, I'm starting to do that now. And we got luncheon sponsors, cocktail reception sponsors, meeting sponsors. We're fucking sponsored up for this motherfucking Vegas event. I'm going to tell you right now, pretty fucking awesome. So I'll leave it at that. Top 25. Or not the top 25, first 25 episodes. I'm going to go down the list, give you a little bit of insight on each of these. All right. I got to put my glasses on for this. Okay. First episode, we kind of came out of the gate hard. I used to favor Roddy White, the Atlanta Falcons freaking legend. Okay. I look back at that interview, episode 1, and Roddy was such a damn good guest that it saved my ass because I was a shitty fucking host. I was a shitty host for that first episode. I thought I was interesting and shit, and I was. It was interesting, I think, because me and Roddy vibed, and then I also brought on Cole Warner on that same episode, and Cole's great. He's an entrepreneur that has the Moneyline app, and he was talking about fantasy sports and sports gambling. And actually, Cole is going to be coming to our event in Vegas too. So I was very happy with the episode. But as I look back now, gosh, I would really like to bring on Roddy again at some point. He was such a damn good guest. Second episode was Lou Canellis. This was a big one. Lou Canellis is a very famous sportscaster here in Chicago. He's known as the voice of the Chicago Bears. He's a known person around town here. He's been on TV for. We got famous interviewing with Michael Jordan's media buddy. He was following Michael Jordan around all the time in the 90s. Everybody in Chicago knows Lou Canellis. Pretty effing cool. And actually, Lou played a part on our last 2,000% raise event in Chicago. We went to a restaurant he owns, and people that bought the VIP tickets. Again, this one in Vegas, everyone's VIP. But at that particular event, anyone that bought the VIP tickets for the dinner the night before, Lou came to the table and hung out with us, which was pretty cool. Just an all around good dude. Really enjoyed that episode. The thing that stands out to me the most about that episode is he had literally just lost his mother, I believe a week or so prior to us filming the show. And I'm getting used to being a podcast host still, right? This is only my second episode. Me and Lou don't really even know each other. We know of each other. We don't know each other. We do now. We've become friends now. We've followed each other on social media and shit, but he knew me well enough to agree to do my fucking show, right? But it was at that moment that I realized the connections you get to make as a host of a podcast. I guess really any media thing, but it was kind of cool because I had mentioned when he had said his mom passed, I had mentioned that I lost my mom too. And for me, that gave us a different level of a bond in the conversation. Almost like, okay, this guy gets it. We're speaking the same language here. It's just a moment for me that I thought was kind of cool. The next episode was Andy Salih, great dude. Talked about building wealth in commercial real estate. Really, I got to tell you, I learned some shit on that show. Don't dabble with buying strip malls unless you know what the fuck you're doing. That's what I took from that episode. And I'm sure Andy would be right beside me saying, yep, say it louder for the people in the back, buddy. Zach Oliver, great dude, former Northwestern quarterback, is also the founder of a company called Matchpoint that matches college athletes with brands, and took advantage of the NIL, name, image, and likeness. So talk about emerging legislation and taking advantage of it in the tech sector. It's exactly what Zach did, and he's still grinding that. I'm pretty excited for him. The next two in a row, actually the next three, pretty high profile folks. I started to come, boom, boom, boom. Look at me now. Here I come. Tracy Tudor, then Ryan DeLuca, then David Meltzer. Boom, boom, boom. Tracy Tudor, by far, at the time, by far, my most famous guest. I would put Tracy really toward the top, depending who you talk to with. I think all of the guests I've had at this point in the top 50, Tracy, again, depending on who you talk to. But Tracy is a very popular real estate agent in California, and many people know her as being one of the main people on $1 Million Listing on Bravo. And found out very fast that friends' wives all over Chicago and all over the country love her. So that's kind of cool that she was on. I would love to go back to that one and redo. I would like a redo with Tracy too. I wish I was a better interviewer. It was good. I just look at myself and you're your worst critic of yourself, right? I was a little starstruck, even though I'd met her a number of times and we're kind of friends and she knows me and we text. And it's like, I'm fucking nervous because it's my podcast. I don't want her to think I'm an idiot because she was definitely much more polished than me back then. Not now though, Tracy. Obviously, she still would be more polished than me now, probably. I'm not a very polished motherfucker, I got to admit it. So Tracy was awesome. The next one was Ryan DeLuca. All right. Ryan DeLuca, you might not know him by name, but if you ever heard of bodybuilding.com, he had a great freaking story, man. How he was selling creatine from his parents' garage when he was in high school. White labels the shit. Takes $20,000 back then, buys a freaking website domain name, bodybuilding.com. His dad told him he's out of his fucking mind. Ends up selling that company for 9 figures. What a cool freaking story. And me and Ryan really vibed. I felt very good about that episode. I'm still in touch with him today. David Meltzer, love him. David Meltzer's a good dude. He's a business and kind of life coach type of influencer. I've been on his podcast a number of times. He's a great, great guy. After that, Jason Highland from Sub 70 Golf. Just cool having an entrepreneur on that talks about different ways to make money, and they do custom golf clubs and kind of like a boutique kind of atmosphere. And I got a lot of good feedback on that episode. And I think, and Jason, I know for a fact you've gotten a couple new clients from that episode, my friend. My friends some friends of mine that watch my show have sent me pictures of them with your clubs. I have not seen a commission check though yet, Jason, so that's a little weird. I'm waiting for that referral fee there, buddy. Excuse me while I interrupt myself. Go to 2000percentraise.com and check out all the cool shit we got there, including our merchandise, including our upcoming events, and including our membership. That's a networking group you want to be a part of. Trust me, and it's not very fucking expensive. And did I mention it gives you super discounted access to our next event that's coming up October 12th and 13th? It's a Mastermind in Las Vegas. 2000percentraise.com. Check it out. Next episode was Whitney Reynolds. Whitney Reynolds has a nationally syndicated TV show on PBS. She's a Chicagoan, very bubbly personality, great following on Instagram and Facebook, and she was in my network. We hadn't really spent that much time together, but it was kind of a mutual respect thing that we both knew of each other, and it was delightful having her on the show and just kind of telling us behind the scenes how it works navigating the PBS system. My 10th episode, I think we really kind of came out hard on episode 10, and that's when I brought Darren Rovell. If you don't know who Darren Rovell is, and you're an entrepreneur, you might want to look into it. He's especially if you're a sports guy. He's made a kind of his own vertical, reporting on the business of sports. He's worked at ESPN, at CNBC, back to ESPN, as he told us that story, and then ultimately now he's at Action Sports Network. And Darren's just a smart freaking dude with a lot of personality, kind of like, you know, he's like that cool guy you want to listen to talk, but at the same time, he has that nerd element where he kind of just starts, you know, puking information on you. That's all freaking pretty damn valuable. So I really enjoyed that episode with Darren. And what a lot of people don't know is we had to redo it. I had interviewed Darren previously, and just was so unhappy with the episode. I called him. I go, dude, would you do that episode with me again, bro? You know, Darren's just been a big supporter of everything I'm trying to do with 2000% Raise, which is pretty cool. Michael Anthony also goes by the name Michael Unbroken. This is the first episode we got off the business focus. Michael, we kind of brought it back to business, but it was really bigger than that. Michael is I guess you could call him a coach, really helping people get past trauma. And he shares his story as a child and some rough patches that he went through that most of us would not need to ever face. He shares his story and how he helps others with it. Pretty motivating. That was episode 11. Episode number 12, Ryan Rotman, my good buddy out in Los Angeles. We talked about his acting career and how he has started OSDB, which is the IMDb of sports. He's my guy. He knows he's my guy. Number 13, Nancy Gianni. She has a nonprofit called Gigi's Playhouse, which is a multi-million-dollar international nonprofit. And if you were to ask anybody that knows of her and knows what Gigi's Playhouse is, I think they would say that she's moved the needle for children with Down syndrome. Okay, and then she stretches it out to other disabilities as well. I'm sorry, and she would kill me right now for using that word disability. She doesn't use that word, but she's moved the needle in that vertical. Check out Gigi's Playhouses if you haven't, and not to mention Nancy is just it was not her first rodeo being interviewed. She knows what she's doing. Pretty impressive. Episode 14 was me talking about my story, and I put myself on there because that episode was being aired December 26th, and I didn't think anyone would listen to it. Well, people listened to it, and I did a private equity case study and made the whole episode of just me talking, kind of like this right now. Ended up being our most watched episode at that point. And right behind it beat out Darren, and between that, Darren had beat out Tracy. But we're still building at that point, so it's not too. We're still building always, but at that point, up in the ante each time. The next one was Michael McDermott. It was he beat addiction, became an international music entrepreneur. That guy, I got to tell you, independent musicians are great forms of entrepreneurs. Michael's become a good friend. He has a great story to share. That was episode 15. TJ Kalezi, episode 16, talking about going from a musician, beating addiction, turn around, and then going to a guy that's built an artificial intelligence platform. I got to tell you, it's called Life Brand. I got to tell you, that kind of shows the, I guess, the range, you could say, of our guests and the shit we cover. Episode 18, we then turn around and go to the bass player for Humphreys McGee. Back to the music. Very different story than Michael, though, as Humphreys McGee has made quite a name for themselves over the years, has been on tour, and great story about how these guys have really ignored their world-class education at the University of Notre Dame to literally become rock stars. And here they are in their mid-40s, still fucking doing it. Pretty fucking awesome. And as Ryan says, yeah, I've never really had a job. Turn around and go episode 19. One of the pioneers of the mixtapes and the hip-hop DJing, Clinton Sparks. What a great guest, dude. Clinton Sparks is what a great guest. We had a lot of back and forth. He's doing some big things right now. He's involved in a company called XSET. We get into some pretty cool shit. I really enjoyed that episode with Clinton. Episode 20, UFC legend Randy Couture. If you don't know Randy's story, or if you are an MMA or UFC fan and you don't know who Randy Couture is, you need to do some history. You need to polish up your history, because he's a fucking OG. That was pretty effing cool. Episode 21, Ray Leonard Jr., the son of Sugar Ray Leonard, and we talked about growing up as the son of such a celebrity, and how he's been able to make a mark on himself as himself, but still not running away from the fact of who he is. And I think that conversation was pretty damn cool. I think that conversation was really damn cool, actually. Episode 22, Blaine Bartlett. I mean, not too often I get people that I'd categorize as thought leaders on the show. Not saying that the other people aren't, but I wouldn't like lead with, oh, he's a thought leader. Blaine Bartlett, I definitely would put into that category. And he has a concept called compassionate capitalism that I really think we could all learn from. Turning around and then going to Keith Yackey, episode 23, The Marriage Saver. Has a program called The Married Game. And if you don't know who Keith Yackey is and you're married, if it's a little bumpy, you might want to look at Keith, because if you're a guy, he's going to tell you to fucking look in the mirror and quit blaming everyone else. So if you don't got any fucking balls and you're a pussy, don't call him. But I shouldn't say that. Keith Yackey's great, man. Keith Yackey's great. You want to check him out. Episode 24, we did Randy Couture part 2. Enough said on that. Episode 25, I looked at this as my extravaganza episode, and I thought I was pretty freaking cool, giving myself a damn pat on the back, because I had Chicago Blackhawk legend Jeremy Roenick on the show. And what was cool about the conversation with Roenick is, you know, he's played all over the place. He played in Philadelphia. He played in Arizona. I believe he played in San Jose. So people everywhere know him. And he was also a commentator for a while. And one of the conversations we got into was how the cancel culture frickin' stretched and caught him, and kind of, many would argue, unjustifiably caught him, let's just say. So I had a great conversation about that with Jeremy. Pretty fucking cool. And also talked about his whiskey in the wild. Awesome after dinner drink. And Jeremy Roenick's just turned out to be a great friend of the show. And I love him. We connected through somebody else. And we knew a few mutual friends. And it's just kind of a fucking cool thing, man. It's kind of a fucking cool thing. So, you know, as I look back at some of these people, man, like some of them I was already friends with. Some of them have become friends with, as, you know, because I'm doing this freaking show. And I got to just share with y'all, man. It's been a fucking great experience for me. It's been a great experience for me. The next episode is going to reflect on episodes 26 through 50, where this was 1 through 25. And I'm going to share some more thoughts there. But, you know, I fucking skipped a big one. How did I miss you, buddy? I'm business partners with the fucking guy too now, dude. Jeff Duden, episode 17, the franchise episode. Jeff Duden's the fucking man. And if you want to know everything about franchises, tune into episode 17. In fact, I should put that motherfucker on pay-per-view for that episode because there's a lot of shit in there. All right. It's been great. It's been a great experience, guys. And anyone that started a podcast without really a platform behind them, I've been blessed because I had a platform on social media. I already had a social media following. I have friends that support me. I have just interested people that, peek into my life. Okay. It's hard, man. It's hard, man. You post something on Instagram and you get 100,000 views and, oh, this is fucking awesome. You can't turn around and get 100,000 fucking downloads on a podcast by snapping your fucking fingers. Don't work that way. You got to work at it. So we're working at it, man. We're working at it. I'm going to do this rebrand here for the next 50 episodes. Give it a little bit more flavor, kind of know it a little bit more about what I'm doing now. You're going to see my personality coming out a bit more in episodes. Maybe you've noticed that in the last few, or if it lasts 10 or whatever the fuck. But it's been great. I really appreciate all you guys listening to the show. If you never left a review for me, please leave a review on Spotify or Apple. Really appreciate that. If you never bought the 2000% Raise book, you got your head in the fucking ass. What, you're up your ass. What are you doing? Your head's in the sand. You like how I just combined those two phrases? You got your head in the sand with your head up your ass. I said you got your head in the ass. Didn't make any sense. Whose ass? Exactly whose ass do you have your head in, sir? Okay. So I'm going to end the show with John Cerasani. What movie do you recommend to the 2000% Raise audience? I always wondered how I'd answer this. I'm going to answer it differently next week. I'm going to ask myself the same question. But here's what I would say if somebody asked me that question. I wouldn't say Goodfellas or Casino or Godfather. You didn't ask me my favorite fucking movie. All right? You asked me what movie I would recommend to the audience. And there's a lot, right? Well, the one I would recommend is Little Miss Sunshine. You don't expect to hear that come out of my mouth, did you? Now, the reason I would recommend that movie, okay, is it shows how hard it is and how much families could struggle. Different characters in that family dynamic. But at the end, they're still a family, and they're there for each other. Blood is thicker than water. All right? If you haven't watched that movie in a while, give it a watch. Thank you for being part of the audience. And that wraps up another episode of 2000% Raise. Thank you for listening. The best way to support our show is by leaving a rating or review on all platforms you listened on. And of course, by following, liking, or subscribing. Visit us at 2000percentraise.com or at John Cerasani on TikTok and Instagram. And of course, my YouTube channel at John Cerasani's 2000% Raise. Find all the ways to follow today's guests in our show notes. Thank you for being a part of our entrepreneurial journey.